I hope you're having a great day. Happy Independence Day to everyone. When it comes to freedom, most of us have grown up thinking that freedom comes from outside of us. When we change that mindset and realize that freedom comes from within us, everything changes. You see, everything is around our belief system and our mindset. Most human beings today have built their own prisons, their own prison walls inside of their minds, inside of their hearts, inside their souls. And yep, these prison walls may be built by us because of external circumstances, relationships, fears, insecurities, toxic emotions, but we are responsible for the prison walls that we have built. The only way to find that true freedom is when we look within and we start working from within. Today I want to talk about toxic emotions. We focus on food, we focus on exercise, we focus on meditation, sleep. There are toxic emotions that all human beings go through at some point. The more we are aware of the toxic emotions that affect us, the more we can do something about it. Every human being goes through toxic emotions. So the first thing is acceptance. Do you go through anger, hatred, envy, boredom, frustration, all of these things, anxiety? These are toxic emotions when the emotion becomes chronic. A little bit of envy, a little bit of anger, a little bit of anxiety and frustration. These things are good for us. They motivate us to change, they motivate us to do better in life. But when it becomes chronic, when the emotion starts robbing our health, robbing us our peace of mind, that's when it becomes toxic. Anything becomes toxic when it's in your body too long. All of our bodies handle toxins every day. There are toxins getting into our system from our food, the air that we breathe, our water. But our liver, our lungs, our kidney, our colon all works together to flush out these toxins. If it doesn't and the toxins accumulate, it becomes toxicity. That toxicity creates problems in the human body and mind. Well, we're going to go over the most common toxic emotions that we see in people today and figure out how we can work with them. The first step is acceptance. You are not a bad person if you have a toxic emotion. Okay, you are a bad person if you cannot accept it and do something about it. And you're living in this denial that you're this perfect, good person. We have a toxic emotion, we work with it, we get better. Human beings constantly evolve, we constantly grow. No human being can say that, oh, I've achieved everything, I know everything I need to do, and I will stop growing now because I am perfect. Those are the people who need it the most. When we feel stuck in life, what is life trying to tell us? That you stop growing, start growing, and you will feel unstuck again. Well, here are some of the emotions we're talking about. Boredom. Boredom, when you constantly feel bored and you have nothing to do, boredom is a toxic emotion. It leads us to emotional eating, emotional binging, gossiping, making rumors, starting to criticize people, starting to pull down people. You're bored, you have nothing to do, you have all the time in the world. Like they say, an idle mind is a devil's workshop, and that is so true. When you have boredom in your life, it is a toxic emotion. A little bit of boredom here and there is fine, but constant boredom, get a job, start working, get a hobby, start doing something. Your job may be boring you. Boredom is not the absence of no work or not doing something. So if something is creating boredom in your life, you try to fill that void. You find a hobby, you do something, you start channeling that energy into, whatever it is that can keep you from feeling bored. Boredom is a very, very toxic emotion. It makes the mind start working, makes its own stories. And once the mind starts making a story, there's one story after another. Nothing is real, but our mind starts to begin to believe that all those stories are real. That leads to insecurity, fear, feeling threatened, feeling like a victim. So when there is boredom, like your children as well, when boredom sets into them, move them into creativity, move them into doing different things, allow them to also do nothing at some point. But boredom is a toxic emotion, handle it the right way. Frustration. Frustration is a huge toxic emotion because what happens when we're frustrated, we want things to happen quickly. Let's take the example of someone trying to lose weight. They get frustrated. I'm doing everything, I can't lose weight. Frustration is an emotion that basically makes your body produce more cortisol. Cortisol is a stress hormone. You will put on more weight. You will slow down your metabolism. You will become more acidic. You will have more inflammation in your body. It's okay to be frustrated. All of us reach that point. We get frustrated when things are not changing in our country. There's traffic, we're paying our taxes, there's no better infrastructure. We find it difficult to lose weight. We can't change a particular person in a relationship. We get frustrated. It's a normal emotion. Don't let it become chronic. When you have frustration in your life, you start looking at all the things that are going well for you. You start looking at what are the things that I can do. Fine, I'm not losing weight. Where am I going wrong? Why am I blaming everyone around me? Maybe I can eat better. Maybe I need to look at my sleep. Maybe I need to look at my stress levels. So frustration becomes chronic when we give up on all the options, and then we start looking at blaming, finding fault, complaining at everything around because we can't deal or cope with our own frustrations. Toxic emotion. Slow down, introspect, be reasonable and realistic with your goals that you're setting, and sometimes just let go a little bit. Don't try to control and hold on too hard. The third is anxiety. Now, all anxiety isn't bad for you. Like the anxiety of a mother for the safety of their children, how well they'll do in life, that's fine. I'm talking about toxic anxiety that comes from a source of insecurity and feeling threatened. When that anxiety comes from a source, you're constantly insecure, so you're anxious, or you're constantly feeling threatened in a relationship, at a job, at your workplace, in your career, with your finances. This anxiety is toxic anxiety. It will ruin your health. It will ruin your mental state of mind. Anxiety about, will I miss the flight? Will I be on time? Will my child recover quickly from this illness? That is fine. That is not going to make you sick. But chronic anxiety is anxiety that stems from insecurity and feeling threatened. So you need to reevaluate all of that stuff, the sources, understand. That's where your spiritual practice comes into place, your meditation, your breathing, learning to accept, learning to let go, having the courage to make changes. All of this comes from your meditation or your spiritual practice. It's easy to say, very difficult to do. When anything is difficult to do in life, it requires self-discipline and practice, 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 and practice. Fear, a huge toxic emotion, because when we have fear, we build more and more stories in our mind. It's like worry. Worry is like a down payment on a problem that you may never have. Go back and think in your life of all the things you worried about. Did any of it come true? In most cases, the answer will be no. So when we have fear, we've lost control. We've lost control of ourselves. And we're letting our mind build more and more stories. We're vulnerable. We listen to options, everything that we see, what our friends are saying, and that contributes to more fears and stories in our mind. Fear is best managed when our self-worth and our self-confidence is improved. That is best built when we are in tune with ourselves, when we're not disconnected from our souls, when we know who we are, our purpose, our life goals, and nothing can move us from that path. But when we built our personalities and characters and our entire, the facade of our lives based on other people's opinions, what society tells you to do, how society tells you to behave, dress, speak, act, then we lose our self-worth and self-confidence, and we allow fear to start seeping in more and more. Fear happens when we don't trust the process of life. All of us have to trust the process of life because nothing is within our control. Nothing is within our control. When we try to control more and more, or everything doesn't work our way, so then we have more frustration, more anxiety, more fear, and all of these issues. So it's very important for us to connect back with our souls. Loneliness, toxic emotion. There are so many people today who are lonely. So many people, and their lives may not show that. Some of these are very socially active people all over Facebook, Instagram, all of that stuff. They have the best lives going on, but inside they are still lonely. If you are lonely, it is not a bad thing. There are many things that you can do about it. You got to put yourself out there. You got to start working on small relationships with friends, with family, with all of those things. The moment we move into a victim mode of loneliness, we cannot progress. Except I'm lonely, now what can I do about it? But if I'm a victim, there is nothing I can do. The doors are closed. So move out of victim mode and look at the things that you can start doing. Pick up that hobby, pick up that passion, start exercising, get onto a new program. Whatever it is that you need to do, step by step. Loneliness will not disappear overnight, but it is a toxic emotion that is linked with several stress-related diseases. Toxic anger and hatred. A little bit of anger over here, some of us may not like certain people, that's fine, but when it becomes toxic, hatred and anger increases our cortisol levels. It messes up with inflammation in our body, and the only thing it hurts is us. It never hurts the other person unless we lash out at them, we say disrespectful things to them. It only hurts us more and more. Again, we have chronic anger and hatred when we want people or things to behave the way we want them to be. When we want to hear the things that we want to hear. We need to understand that life doesn't have to be the way we want it to be. People don't have to be the way we want them to be. But we get angry and we have hatred when we want to control everything and it doesn't go our way. This is something that we have to work with. A little anger, a little hatred is fine, preferably no hatred. Dislike someone, don't like them. Hatred is a very strong word. Toxic envy is becoming huge in our society, huge. Although people have more and more, there is more and more envy. We need to learn to celebrate the success of other people as well, even if we don't like them. If we don't like people, people are doing better than us, they have better handbags, better cars than us, better Instagram profiles, doing more exotic holidays. It's okay, be happy for them. Celebrate their success and more will come to you. But when we have chronic envy, it only rottens the soul. It rusts us from inside. It is a very, very toxic emotion, like the next one I'm going to talk about, which is unforgiveness. Unforgiveness is a toxic emotion that only hurts us. The other person has probably moved on with their lives, doing everything, but you are still in that rut of unforgiveness. Is it easy to do? Absolutely not. I'm not here to say everything I'm saying is easy for you to do. Can we try? We must try. We don't have an option, or these toxic emotions is going to ruin our health, physically, emotionally, spiritually. The ability to forgive, we need to practice and practice and practice. Celebrate other people's success. Wish for the people that you don't like the things that you wish for yourself or your family. The only thing stopping us is our pride and ego. Yes, there are certain cases where even I don't understand how forgiveness would work. Like, when a child has been raped or a child has been kidnapped or murdered or stuff like that. I don't understand how that will work. But I'm talking about everything else. We have the ability to try and practice. And of course, the feeling of dissatisfaction is a toxic emotion. I can't tell you how many people are in relationships which they don't want to be in anymore. They're in jobs where they don't want to work. So they're constantly dissatisfied. When you're constantly dissatisfied, your entire immune system is compromised. You have more cortisol, more acidity, more bitterness. The side effect of dissatisfaction is bitterness. Bitterness is also a toxic emotion. So you see, it's all tied in with each other. What's the one common solution? We need to get more mindfulness in our lives. We need to keep reminding ourselves that people do not have to be the way we want them to be. We have to learn how to accept. We have to learn how to let go. We have to do this by empowering ourselves with a spiritual practice. It doesn't mean religion. It could be just being kind, compassionate, acceptance, letting go. The strength comes from within. That strength is only blocked by our own egos and prides. What are the best ways? The best ways to break ego and pride is by going deeper into our systems and accepting the kind of people we are, and stop fooling ourselves that everyone has to be good all the time and everyone's good, and we live this pretentious life of trying to show the whole world that we're good. We do it with our children. We don't let our children be naughty. We don't allow them to be naughty. We don't teach them that be naughty as long as you don't harm and disrespect people and cause harm to them. Naughtiness is natural to children, which is why young adults, when they feel their best, when they're naughty, when they're doing things out of fun, but we try to make them be disciplined in ways where they should be disciplined with their food and everything else, but we try to spoil their fun and be these, parents without understanding. We stop ourselves. We want to be formal people all the time. Oh, I'm the CEO, I wear a suit, I'm this false person in my mind. But everyone's heart has a childlike ability. And when you find that, you will find joy, you will find happiness, you will find all these things. But you cover it with layers and layers according to society, and everyone's trying to eat a particular way, with a particular style, follow a fad, just trying to fit in. You just basically build more and more layers over that inner child. And once that inner child is lost, you just become this robot moving through life. So be aware of the toxic emotions that you have in your life. Accept them and work on them. Everyone has them. I have them. I think I have. Let me go through the list. I have boredom sometimes. I have levels of frustration. Sometimes I have toxic anger. Yep, I have them too. Everyone does have them as well. Accept them, then you can work better and you can evolve and you can grow. Have a great day, everyone. Until next time, eat smart, move more, sleep right, and breathe deep.